let's just start with some personal questions. Where'd you grow up?
Grew up on Shelter Island. You know, moved here when I was in the 5th grade, which would have put me about 10 or 11. My mother grew up here, so when my parents split up, she brought myself and my 2 sisters here, and moved from a housing development in the middle of Ohio to Shelter Island, and I thought, you know, this was paradise.
Let me ask you about your career. You're with South Ferry. How far back does that go?
I worked summers at South Ferry when I was going to college. I graduated from Syracuse University, and I couldn't find a teaching job. And to be honest, I realized I loved working on the ferry. So I had the opportunity to probably train 30, 35 captains over the last, well, actually, I've been there, as I said, 40 years.
Right. Now, when did you first start serving in town positions?
I was elected as a councilman in 1994. I had served on the Zoning Board of Appeals for, I think, 3 years, and had, you know, done other volunteer stuff in the town. But as far as, you know, actually serving on the board, I believe it was 1994. I had 2 4-year terms, and chose to stand down. I think it was probably 2002.
Right.
Morgan, our son, was at a good age to need both of us in our full attention. So, but I came back into it 3.5, 4 years ago.
Your term is expiring as a councilman.
Right, it's expiring, and you know, I had all along planned on running for supervisor. There should be no mistake or misunderstanding with the Democratic Committee. I had told them 4 years ago that would be my intention, so here I am, running as an independent.
What is it about Mr. Dougherty's service as supervisor that makes you feel that you should challenge him?
Right. I think I can be a better leader, not just in the community, but on the town board. I think that at times there's a disconnect. I also feel, you know, my voting record over the years, the 12 years that I've been in office, indicates that, you know, I'm not a one constituent candidate. I think it's really important to represent everybody, because we're an island community. I mean, we have to rely on ourselves. I think that I probably have a better grasp of the history of Shelter Island. An example of that was wanting to invoke the Nichols patent in this saltwater fishing rights litigation. I don't know that either candidates really understand the value of that patent. And in joining with the other East End towns, I think that we showed the state that they're viable documents. Well, probably one of the, you know, most controversial issues was the town board, some of us on the town board wanting to give the people, the voting populace, an opportunity to decide whether they wanted 2-year supervisor and highway superintendent terms or 4 years. That whole issue was merely about getting it on the ballot, and it should never have been as big and contentious a thing as it turned into.
It really did. And why did it turn so controversial, do you think?
I honestly don't know. I mean, as I said, it was merely about giving the people the opportunity to decide what they felt it should be. Really wasn't surprised with the outcome of the vote, you know.
Yeah. No, on that, on the 4 years.
Right.
Yeah. People seemed unsure where this idea started.
Well, you know, Chris, Councilperson Lewis, you know, got kind of beat up on that. She was just putting it forth because people had come to her, as they had come to all of us over the years. Some people saying that we should have the opportunity to decide. Some people were strong supporters of a 4-year term. I mean, excuse me, a 4-year term, especially in the highway superintendent. And that really made sense because, you know, we've found over the years that projects that one highway superintendent might initiate takes 5 or 6 years to complete.
And what other issues are important to you as a Shelter Islander and as a leader of the community?
Yeah. Well, water is always an issue, and it always will be. Not just quality, but quantity. I think that we're making some strides in all our open space acquisition. And I want to, I just want to say one of the proudest things that I was able to do was be on the town board that lobbied for and initiated legislation to allow the 2% or a land preservation act on Shelter Island. That was in the late 90s. One of the other proud moments was 3 years earlier when we, saw the completion of the six house starter housing program up on Bowditch Road. And when you think about it, acquiring open space to protect the aquifer and trying to come up and solve the housing issue, they seem like they're two diverse issues. I think that we've worked real hard in making those issues meld. I think one of the greatest things we've done, and it's just now starting to bear fruit, was 3 years ago, one of the first things we did, and this was with the help of Councilperson Lewis. She was a strong supporter of this. We enacted some legislation that would allow people to, under certain restrictions, to put mother-daughter apartments in their homes. As an island community, we have to have every facet of society here. We've got to have, the worker bees. We have to have the queens. I mean, it's just, it's how we function, how we survive. Volunteer force, labor force. So those are my three big issues.
Yep.
That, of course, and trying to keep costs down.
On the environmental front, another issue right now is protection of the causeway.
Yes.
How do you feel that process is unfolding right now? There's a moratorium in place.
Mm-hmm.
You're drafting legislation. Are you in favor of that legislation to restrict certain kinds of building?
Yes, I am. What we're doing, I think, is trying to come up with something that would allow the homeowners use of that land, but also protect Cockles Harbor.
Thanks. Good luck, and we'll talk to you again.
Well, I'm happy to have the opportunity, and thank you. Thank the reporter.
You bet.